When you're using the Digitone 2 to create a song, it's very easy to feel like you're doing something wrong if you're not using all the tracks. But in my opinion, 16 is more tracks than most people actually need. So today we're gonna do a little challenge to kind of try to confront that. We're gonna make a beat using only one track, one patch, no sound pool, and very importantly, we're gonna try to create each element of the song using as few parameter moves as possible. This is the initialized patch I created. It is a pad. I wanted to start with a sound like this so that we can go from something pretty into something more functional, like a kick drum or a snare drum, rather than the other way around. Over on the LFOs here, we have ratio B as a destination. It's in trig mode, and we have an exponential curve going up, but the depth is down at 0 because we only want to parameter lock the depth when we're ready to use it. We're gonna drop in a trig. Now we need to turn that sound into a kick drum. First, let's drop the note. Next, let's go over here to the synth page. Let's move the ratio down. Let's put C at 1. Let's put A at 0.25. Let's also move the mix over so we're only getting the A and C. Okay, I kind of like that, but that's not what we want. For the amp page, let's take our attack, let's make it very short, let's pull our release way down, volume up, and let's go back to our synth page. Now you see right here the level of the A operator is following this envelope, but the envelope is just sitting at 100%, nothing is happening. Let's bring down the sustain. We have a very short attack and we have a very short decay. This can kind of become our transient for our kick drum sound. The higher we dial it up, the more it's kind of like giving that papery slap. Now, when it comes to creating kick drums, I really prefer having a short, stubby kick drum. To do that, I like to have my sustain dialed in. So it's not just a simple attack and decay shape. That already sounds very clean. Now, the final ingredient, the most obvious thing we could do, put some distortion on it. Sounds pretty good. Now to make our snare, we're just gonna copy the kick over. And we're gonna start editing that. So first things first, we're gonna move the mix all the way over to the B operators. Turn that feedback down. Let's go ahead and mess with these ratios a little bit. Let's also open up the release a little bit. Let's go ahead and raise. Whew. I don't think this needs all that distortion. In fact, I think what it needs is sample rate reduction. Ooh. Next, let's jump over to our filter. This is a high pass. So we're gonna cut out a lot of that low end. We're gonna cut out too much and then put it back in by dialing in our envelope. And we need a shorter decay. Okay, so it's sounding decent, but I know we can go a little further. Let's do a little more filter moves. Let's like bring up this a little bit and then cut out some of those harsh highs. Now over here on our LFO, now's the time to parameter lock in our depth. Sounding much more snarey now. It's kind of a low bit snare, but it makes a nice contrast with our kick. And as a final little adjustment, let's jump back to our offset page. This is where we can really fine tune the operator frequencies. Let's just start messing with it. So it's kind of subtle, but there's some tonal things happening there. That is a snare and a kick. Party time. So now we're just gonna turn our kick into a bass. So this kick right here, let's just open up that release time. But we can also play with like the shape of it. And you know what? Let's go ahead and dial in a little bit of that B operator. Ooh! You hear that buzz? Let's mess with these ratios. Ooh. Okay. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, you know what would be perfect? Let's go ahead and expand this to 64 steps. We're gonna copy this over. Let's change the note. So we'll start on a C for these first two bars, and then we'll go up to C sharp for the next two. Okay. Move it so it's closer to the 1. There you go. Now it sounds like they're going together. Okay, we need some hi-hats. I hate to interrupt this party, but we gotta go to Sound Design Town and make some hi-hats. First, we're gonna make our note really short. We're gonna make the attack really short. And the release is gonna be very short. We're gonna lower that sustain. We're gonna high pass it really hard. Then we're gonna use a quick envelope to kind of bring it back in. Still a little bit too much bass in there, so let's go ahead and use that second filter, and let's cut out some of that crazy high end. Turn the feedback up, turn the detune up. Let's mess with our ratios a bit. We need a little bit more release so that there's that tiny bit of rattle that kind of rings out. Oh, you know what? This note doesn't need to be this low. You get way up there. We're just going to use our sample rate reduction and a little bit of overdrive. We can also use this LFO just like we did on the snare, but let's be way more intense about it. Let's mess with our levels too. Now it's got that chunkiness. I want to mess with the offset. I like that. We also got to turn this down. That's some harsh sound. And let's also just make it land a little bit early. Like sometimes our hi-hat sounds better when it lands early, when it's that upbeat. How does this sound in the context of this beat? Perfect. Okay. All right, this needs one more thing to put it over the edge. We're gonna do some kind of lead, and we're just gonna grab our initialized patch and just change the release so it becomes a pluck instead. 0 sustain, put some decay on it, but we don't need, that's way too low. We just need some other notes now. Now since it's all on one track, we don't have to use Control-Alt to affect all the parameters. So we can do stuff like put all that sample rate on it. Check this out. Let's just move over our algorithm. Yo, I like that. But the best part is we can put all that delay on it. If you think that you could rock this challenge, put a link in the comments because I would love to hear other people's take on this. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to join the Patreon, you can download the project file. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out. Y'all have a good one.